How's it going, y'all? For those of you that don't know me, I'm Anthony Francoso. I'm professor of sociology and ethnic studies here at PCC. Also the program coordinator for CORE, which is our reentry program, a program that's designed to empower formerly incarcerated and system impacted folks. So welcome to our third speaker in our speaker series. And today we are graced by the one and only ultimate fantastic Denise Carlos. So I'm going to read a little something here from the flyer, and then I'm going to say a couple words after that really quick. Denise Carlos, MSW, is a lyricist, lead vocalist, and jaranera from the East L.A. band Las Cafeteras, who have gained national recognition for their musical fusion of Afro-Mexican East L.A. sounds and socially conscious messages. She holds a master's degree in clinical social work from Loyola University, Chicago, where she focused her career in community mental health. Before fully committing herself as a professional musician and dancer, Denise served as the coordinator of the Gender and Sexuality Resource Center at East L.A. for 6 years, where she provided counseling, services, and programs around gender identity, feminism, ethnic identity, and assisted in increasing powerful spaces for LGBTQ students on campus. As an artivist, she works on the daily to help develop critical thought around community feminisms, Chicana identity, and building with various communities of color through dance and musical expression. So that's a lot, and Denise does so much wonderful work. I met Denise back at East L.A. when she was the coordinator for the Gender and Sexuality Resource Center. She reached out and asked me to present on a few panels and then run a few workshops. And in getting to know Denise while we were at East L.A., it was really, you can tell that Denise is fierce and knows kind of how to maneuver through space and how to create spaces of solidarity and resistance. Because that Gender and Sexuality Resource Center was like on point. And Denise was doing a lot of really good programming and bringing in a lot of really good folks. It was sad to see her leave to take up the career on Las Cafeteras, but it's amazing to see kind of how far Las Cafeteras has come and has grown and build community in spaces, not only locally, nationally, but globally, right? I mean, Las Cafeteras is welcomed all over the world in multiple spaces of resistance. And it's really great that Denise has the ability to go out in these multiple communities and use her knowledge and expertise to empower folks on so many different levels. So with all of that, it's an honor to have Denise Carlos here. So thank you.
This is where y'all applause, clap for me, snap it up. Yeah. I was like, who are you talking about? She sounds great. As we're inviting folks in from the waiting room, ooh, thank you all for supporting. I think I'll have an album. Purchase it, it helps us pay rent. So thank y'all for having me. I'm really excited to be sharing space with you all. And I do want to be mindful that this is a communal space, right? So it's not me talking at you, we're all going to be spitting some wisdom because all of us carry that wisdom within, right? Whether it be ancestral wisdom, whether it be experiential, something that you've lived, or even your perception around certain ways that we can become medicine for ourselves and for our communities. And so the conversation today, actually, let me share a little bit about myself. I am an LA girl. I was born Monterey Park, raised in Huntington Park, so Southeast LA. And my parents are from Mexico, right? So I am a proud pocha from Southeast LA, and Spanglish is my language. So if you all find it confusing if I'm going in and out of those two languages, I will for sure, tend to that need if you all need me to reiterate or anything like that. But just please understand that that is my language and that is how I speak. I go in and out of identities and languages and all kinds of spaces, right? And in my own way of expressing my life and identity. So, and I actually invite you all to do that too. This is a place where you all are invited to be authentic and to be sincere, and to have compassion for yourself, for have this space of cariñitos where it is all accepting, where things will come up or might come up that you haven't placed words to or named yet. And so this is a place of vulnerability, yes, of challenge maybe, but it's also a place of gathering the resilience and the power to move forward, right? And so that's one of my goals today. I went to East L.A. as a student there, and I got my bachelor's also in social work. Then I went all the way to Chicago, and for me, it was a way to escape, you know, my own, I think for me, I felt trapped as a young brown girl, and I just did not have the power within me to fight with my parents about why I wanted to leave home to go to college. So when I went to grad school, I'm like, okay, ¿me caso o voy a la escuela? So I went to school. I got my clinical social work degree. During the South Central Farm movement, a lot of my homies were getting arrested, or just, you know, there was just a lot of hard stuff coming down here in South Central, in the LA area. Came back to my community because I firmly feel that you do need to come back to your community to serve, right? And still continue the harvesting and the cultivation of the beauty and the power and the medicine that we all carry, but also that we build community with, right? So that's what I do. I play music, I write about my life, I write about my dreams, and then I do it like a loca on stage. So if y'all have seen this, thank you very much. If not, maybe one day in the future we can be in person and do that. But again, it's this idea of interrupting narratives that are built about us and perceptions that are built about us, interrupting that and understanding that we are the holders and the carriers of our own stories, right? And that story can carry different meanings depending on what y'all decide. I always say as a therapist, retelling your story doesn't have to mean reliving it, and telling your trauma doesn't necessarily mean healing it, right? And so, so we'll do some of that today. When I thought of the concept of healing and loving in the time of Corona, it was really looking at my own experience. What I've noticed in my life was because a lot of the challenges I've had has been around body dysmorphia and labels and expressions about my own body, I understood later in life that because I didn't have harmony with my mind, body, and spirit, that I was not living in a very healthy or powerful way. This was actually really, really in my face after I had foot surgery. I was really depressed, I was really anxious, and I had no creative fire. So my friend who's a curandera, she said, you know, I've been meaning to talk to you because I know that the way you express yourself is a lot, you know, it's carried in your feet. I'm a folklorico dancer. And so we met and we talked, and she said, just because dancing has been your medicine doesn't mean it has been a healthy distraction for you, right? And so I had to go and look at the root. So when we look at this idea of harmony with body, mind, and spirit, I think I want to, I do want to go into a little bit of what that means. So mind, right? What do we mean by healthy mind, right? Mind is what allows us to add meaning to the experience we're having, right? It helps us process information. Cognition helps us understand, right? It also allows us to be aware of ourselves and of the world, right? And how we perceive that and how we attach meaning to our experience is really, really impactful in the health of our mental state, right? When we talk body, right, our bodies carry us through our lives. And and we also have to understand that body carries energy, right? So once, as a clinician, a lot of the work I did with my clients was looking at what was going on around their lives that they weren't dealing with, And if they don't want to talk about it or think about it, how is their body screaming out for it, right? So if you don't deal with something, your body's going to show it. Your body's going to tell you, or your body's going to stop, right? And we'll do a body scan later today too. Your body communicates to you through symptoms, right? If you're excited, your heart will beat, or you'll start sweating if you're nervous, right? Or sometimes if you're really depressed or you just find no joy in life, you'll sleep for hours and hours. This is a natural way that your body is caring for you when you can't do it for yourself, right? And that can be detrimental to you if you don't pay attention, right? And this is what we call psychosomatic symptoms, right? You don't deal with it, so your body will deal with it for you. When we look at this idea of a healthy soul and spirit, right? That can mean so many things. It's so vague. You can't see a soul. You can't see a spirit, you know? And some folks might feel that human beings have a soul and spirit and animals don't. Or some folks say, well, animals are a higher spirit than we are because they're more pure in this experience and in this life, right? So when we think of the soul and the spirit, this is where our emotions live, right? This is where we manifest energy and we give language to what we are feeling in our lives and our experiences. It also is where our ancestral wisdom lies. Do you ever have a gut feeling, right? Or intuition? And sometimes they say, you know, women's intuition or bruja intuition. And like, this is this idea of like, the closer to you are to the root or to the source, the easier it will be for you to get those messages, right? So if you hear folks having limpias, right? And this is something that I had to do because my curandera said, well, you know, there's been different sustos in your life, right? Moments that shock you or scare you. And in this way of living now, we're so bent on producing and making money and going fast, right? We forget to close that wound, right? We're like, oh, we can live it, we can take it. And a lot of times, like folks who are living in the hood or coming out of spaces that may have victimized them or put them in places of vulnerability or marginalized them, we just nos callamos and we keep going, right? Keep going, just keep going. But what happens when you ignore all that? That is still part of you, right? And there's going to be a point where you can form a relationship, right, with it, or you can become re-victimized by it. And so what I want to share and remind us all is that we all have that medicine within, right? And part of the work is going to source. And part of the work is digging a little bit, right? But I do want to invite this idea that that the medicine is already in us, right? And the practices may shift a little bit, right? And the needs may be different for each of us, right? And the methodology as well too. But it's in the way that you have an intention of living your life, right? And any kind of activity you do or schedule can become ritual, can become ceremony, can become medicine, right? And the way that y'all decide that for yourselves, or we decide it as a community, right, can serve you differently in different ways, right? And you decide that. You have all the power to do it for yourself. And you can also invite folks to be in that communal space with you, right? But I do want to remind us that although sometimes we feel alone, scared, right? There always is this intuition and this wisdom because we come from so many experiences before we were even born, right? And that is carried, and it's actually scientifically proven, and I don't know how this has happened, but there's DNA, right? There's trauma in DNA, but there's also healing and resilience, right? And this is something that we have to be able to shift and understand and hold relationships to if in the generations after us, we want to see like the folks that come after us from us also have that power and resilience, right? Because it's not just about me, right? It's about we. I also want to invite you all to be part of the conversation, right? Yo no sé todo. This is me offering a space and in sharing, and the way that I've learned to live my life in a more self-compassionate way, in a way that I have a little bit more insight about how I'm living in my life and my body and the way I think about things, right? And I also invite you all to be curious, right? If this is something that sounds totally off to you, be curious to the possibility that this is some kind of practice for you. So these are the goals for today. The goals are, we're gonna have this awesome conversation and we're all gonna share the magic of our medicine. We're going to hopefully identify the different resources that we have around us that can help a support system for us. Obviously finding that inner magic, and that will be something you explore and you discover for yourselves, whether it be in the conversation or whether it be after you reflect. I want you all to manifest this energy, right? Within, to have this idea, understanding of resilience after this conversation. This is just an invitation and an offering, but it's really a practice for you all to do after this, right? I want to invite you to take what serves you, to leave what doesn't serve you, and to lead with curiosity. And always have questions. Again, if you have something that I know more about that, please share it with us, right? This is a communal space, and as a community, we all rise up together, right? And I, for one, would be very bored if I'm the only one talking. So, por favor, el wiri wiri is invited. And y'all can do that in the chat, or you can ask to be unmuted. But we are going to have some writing exercises. I do want to take y'all away from the screen and writing on paper if you can, because I know a lot of us are doing a lot of overconsumption on screens, right? Whether it be your phone, your tablet, or your computer. I purposely didn't have a presentation because I want you all to take it to pen and paper and write down if y'all have access to do that. Okay, so I'm going to invite you all to take a breath with me, and if you are able to, take a deep breath in and raise your hand and take it all in. Good, and let it out. Good, and roll your shoulders back, right? And one more breath in with your mouth all the way in, fill that belly. Actually with your nose, and now with your mouth. And if you're not too shy, you can make noise. Yes, you're muted is what I'm thinking, so I can't hear you, but I'm fantasizing and imagining y'all are like highing with me. Yeah, breath is such an important and powerful force for us. It helps us stay balanced. It helps us stay beating to that natural rhythm we have, and that's very comforting, right? Como cuando tiene un bebé and you're like patting the back, right? We always have access to what our body is already showing us, right? If you all are comfortable, we're just gonna do this body roll call, a body scan, if you will. And what I want you all to do, if you're comfortable, is close your eyes. And if you're not comfortable, just find a spot around you where you can just focus on that spot. And I apologize for my my coughing. Just focus on a spot or close your eyes. And I want you to acknowledge, right? This is a space where you actually are taking a break from looking at anything, from looking at yourself, from looking at the screen, and take that breath and breathe in and out in your natural rhythm. And that natural rhythm is perfect. I want you to scan that body and notice where in your body is tension lying. Is it tightness in your shoulders? Do you have your shoulders raised? If you do, invite them to, just relax a little bit, roll them. If it's a tension headache, you have the ability to just press your fingers to your temples and gently massage. If you can, hands on your tummy. Sometimes it's hard to deal with a lot of feelings, a lot of change, and our bodies will stop digesting right, or you'll get bloated, or you just, aren't that regular anymore, right? All of us hold our tension and our stress, different parts of our bodies. Maybe flick your fingers and activate that fire in you. Maybe clap your hands or stomp your feet, or maybe rub on your thighs or on your hips if you've seen you're sitting a lot, right? A lot of times our body takes the brunt of it. So what we're gonna do, as we're still with our eyes closed or focused on the spot, we're going to allow the elements that are already available to us to guide us in this understanding that we are all part of this natural gift and natural in a harmonious way that the environment works, right? So we're going to allow this element of air to guide us. Air is guided through the mental, right? Through how we're thinking and what we think, how we perceive, what are the stories we tell ourselves. Air also leads breath. So inviting you to breathe in and out in your natural rhythm. Be mindful, are you the kind of person of stress you hold your breath? And if you do, remind yourself that you always have the ability to notice and let go. Air also holds our wisdom, our soul, and our thinking. I want to invite the fire element. And fire guides our spiritual self, right? The passion in us, the strength. It can also guide our anger, right? Anger is not a bad emotion or feeling. It just is, right? But how does it serve us at that moment? What is it telling us about what we're living, and what is it telling us about who we are? Fire is spiritual, and it's always available to you. I want to invite the element of water into this conversation, and water is the emotional. So I find that water is very, very prominent in my life right now. Water, the emotional, carries our feelings, but also carries healing, right? So cleansing, when you work out and you sweat, when you cry or you're angry and your tears come out, right? This idea that water is always about abundant, and we are 70% water. So yes, we're all emotional beings. And if you find yourself, maybe it's out of character for you to have all these feelings or be in your feels lately, you are 70% water, emotional, and you have access to the healing as well. And I want you to invite earth, right? The element of earth in this conversation. And earth represents the physical, right? What we see, what we touch, our bodies. It also represents rest, right? Grounding. It represents growth and abundance, as if you are a plant. You can cultivate, you can be the seed, you can be fertile in your thoughts, in your hopes. It also represents love. Mother Earth, Mother Tierra. So taking all these elements, knowing that these are always available to us as we are part of nature and natural creatures, take what serves you in those elements in this conversation, what's gonna make you feel the most grounded, the most powerful, the most insightful about yourself. We're gonna take one more breath in through your nose, raise your hands if you can. Hold, body scan, what part of your body needs a little cariño or love right now? And let it go with a big breath out. Ah. And shake it out. Whew. How do y'all feel? Se estaban durmiendo, huh? And please unmute yourself if you're gonna share with the group. I would love to hear more voices. Also, disclaimer, I have cats. So if you hear meowing, it's the cats, not me. So that was an invitation for grounding, right? A lot of what I want to lead is understanding that you are seed, you are source. And so we're gonna have, I know that I keep telling y'all to talk, but I haven't even done an icebreaker. So I would love for y'all to do some reflection in this icebreaker and hopefully share with the group if possible. I'd like you to reflect now, and in that time that we were doing this, this meditation, this elemental guide, what you all feel in terms of mind, body, soul, right? So just for today, this is something that y'all can write or just reflect on. Just for today, how is your mind? How is your body? And how is your spirit? So I give you a few minutes to write that down or to reflect. How is your mind? How is your body? And how is your spirit just for today? Some of y'all might already know, you know, and some of y'all might be the first time you're thinking about it. As you're writing, connect with your body, your mind, your spirit. How do they tell you they need attention? How does your mind tell you it needs attention? How does your body tell you it needs attention? How does your spirit, you know, if it's an imbalance or a lack of harmony? How do you know? And as you reflect on that, reflect on just for today, what is your challenge and what is your gift? Does your body feel strong and energized today, but are you crying a lot? Right? What is your challenge and what is your gift? When one of these things is out of balance or, you know, needs a little bit more attention, there's a lack of harmony in our whole being, right? And so you feel a little off and it's a little hard to focus. It's a little hard to feel like you can plan goals and plan for the next day, right? This lack of harmony and this imbalance in our life is really, really important. Okay, so would anyone like to share how you all feel? Again, this is a space for sharing, for venting. I don't want to get stuck in you know, the space of trauma, but it's also very important to acknowledge, right? As if you want to talk about like, I feel sad and I can't even do this exercise because I'm just too sad. Totally valid, right? This is like an all accepting and compassionate space. Anyone like to share? Or should I volunteer you? Okay, Anthony, since you look so eager and you're such a great example and leader, let's hear from you.
Thank you. So in thinking about the process, so my mind, so you want us to go through mind, body, spirit, and then challenge, gift, yes?
Sure.
Okay. So mind, body, and spirit. So my mind is always racing, like moving, thinking of what needs to be done, when I need to do it, who I need to call, what Zoom meeting is next, what, you know, all of this stuff. So my mind is just kind of always thinking about just needs that kind of have to be met. Teaching, work, family. So I'm trying to figure out how to calm the mind, but also the body is tired. Yeah, tired. 2 months in quarantine and doing Zoom stuff. It's a lot. And you know, you give a lot through Zoom and very rarely get a lot back. So I totally, yeah, it's draining. But the spirit, I mean, so yesterday was my birthday, and I had an amazing, wonderful birthday, and my spirit is flying and soaring, and do I even dare say dancing? I don't dance, and everyone knows that, but I think my spirit is actually dancing just because it was so just yeah, overwhelmingly just yeah, re-energizing spiritually. So yeah, so I'm in that place, and then the challenges and the gifts. The challenges is, you know, the tiredness, and when I'm not taking care of myself, my back, I have back issues. My back tends to flare up. Um, but the good thing is, you know, the spirit is energized and flowing and ready to go. So now I just need to figure out, like, I need to take more time to work on the body, I guess I would say, right? Um, yeah, I don't know. I hope that is a,
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing. If y'all, I see some nodding, right? Some folks are having similar experiences. And if y'all want to share, raise your little hand on the, I know there's little emojis. You can raise your hand or do your little clap, or if y'all, okay.
And my mind is wondering about the future. I have just recently graduated from my undergrad and have been admitted to a graduate program, and and I feel a little bit of the imposter syndrome going into grad school. Do I even belong there? Kind of nervous. I had this great plan for my graduation, right, to make my parents proud, from being a dirtbag, you know, to graduating and moving on in life and becoming a productive member of society. But that has been taken away from me for the moment. So it got me a little down. My body, I've been home and don't want to work out. I usually don't work out that much. So been gaining weight. My spirit, a little low, but hopeful. So the biggest challenge right now for me would be finding meaning in this kind of uncertain time, certain times. But my gift is that I'm very much a humanitarian, and I love people, and I think that through education, communities can progress and be a better society. So I'm very eager to immerse myself in my graduate studies and move on to the next steps in my life. But still, like at the current moment, the uncertainty, I'm pretty sure we can all feel a little bit of what I'm talking about. It's just that, you know, I don't really have a job and things of that nature. And so financial, although I spend a lot of time with my family now, which I didn't do before this. So that's a positive thing. And I don't want to ramble on, so I'll stop here. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Robert, and congratulations. Felicidades. We're all so proud of you, right? When one comes up, we all come up, right? We are reflections of each other. In Lakesh, you are the other me, right? And it's a beautiful parallel, right? To be able, because we're all going through this time of unknown, right? There are fears, and it's good to name them, right? It's a beautiful thing, especially as you challenge this idea of masculine expression, right? Of saying, yes, I'm sad. You know, I wanted a party. I wanted a graduation party, okay? And to be able to say that, because again, a communal trauma can also give the opportunity for communal healing, right? And celebration and finding the meaning, right? And I love that you brought that up, and I love that you're able to, like, okay, what is it? Like in my body, I just don't feel right, right? I believe that you can't know where you're going unless you know where you come from, right? And I wanted to maybe have this conversation within this reflection about what is our source, right? What is telling us who we are in the world, how we belong, who we will become, and who we are in relation to others, right? And in our communal space, community. Obviously, as you were sharing, you feel like, yeah, that imposter syndrome, do I even belong, right? And although a lot of us feel these institutions were not made for folks like us, that we definitely need to interrupt the narrative of what it means to have educational systems and how we need to then have them serve folks like us, right? So Robert, thank you so much for doing that, because you're still pioneering an experience, right? Because there will be young men like you who will see you as a leader, who will see you as someone that's an example, right? Because we again have this seed of wisdom and resilience, right? And people who are younger than us are definitely looking at that medicine, right? Looking to need that medicine to be distributed. So again, we don't know where we're going unless we know where we come from. And in that idea, we always have to ask, who am I? Right? What if we start with the question, who am I? We're having another writing exercise, y'all. Get your paper ready. Okay, home, 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 home. Home can be a sense of grounding for me. And this is the idea that I'm talking about when I talk about home. It's not necessarily a building, right? No es una casa, it's not a house, right? But home is us, home is me, home is within, home is source, right? So I'd like for you all to do this writing exercise with me. and I'm gonna make it a little shorter than usual because I don't wanna run out in time and I want you all to share. Okay, also home can be transformed, right? We can live one way and have an idea about it, and based on our lives, then change the meaning of what it is for us. Okay, so in your paper, describe where you live growing up. What does it look like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like? So we're writing, this is a writing exercise. Home could be an actual house, or it could be another place that represents home. And you decide what that is. As you write that, write down one object or belonging that you can be found in your home. And I'm doing this exercise with you. What are the names of people in your family? And again, this could be a family that's chosen. It could be someone that's alive still or has passed. And they do not need to be related by blood. Chosen families as important.
Denise, are these current or growing up still?
You decide. You decide what home is. Write down a family tradition. List 2 favorite food items in your home. Or food that reminds you of home. Is there a phrase or a word or a saying that's important in your family or home? And finally, write down a family dream or aspiration. So as we get ready to share, I'd like you to write somewhere on your paper, I am from. If you can write it right before what you already wrote, or you can add it on another paper if you want it to be a little bit more clear. And the idea behind this is looking at the experiences, the people, the flavors, the sounds that have formed us of who we are today. Right? A little bit of grounding for us. Who we are today will inform us who we can become tomorrow. So I'm going to start. I'm just going to share the example, right? I listed all the things that were the prompts. And then before that, I'm going to say I am from, or from, right? So here I go. I am from freeways and the elote man, from zapateado shoes and Dodger caps. I am from Chuy and Jazzy, from Mayan mochas at Monarca and Get Me on the List. I am from Oh Hell No and Ponte un Suéter. I am from Tortillas y Chocolatito, from No Estás Solita en Este Mundo, and I am from We're Taking Over the World. So that is part of where I'm from, yes? I'm gonna popcorn and see. You comfortable sharing?
Let me unmute myself. Yes. Okay. Hi, everyone. I am from the resacas, the nopal that grows as the wind blows. I am from the border, South Texas or Texas, whichever way you may want to see it. Inside my home, this is like I'm kind of bouncing off of what I just wrote, but inside my home, it's only Spanish. Outside my home, it's English, Spanish, it's Spanglish. I am also home because I'm a mother. And home is where my mother is.
Love it, thank you. Would you like to popcorn someone and see if they're comfortable sharing?
A ver,
Okay, so I was popping too. So I am from a large family. I am from Charlotte Street. I am from like a big white looking haunted house with dogs and birds. And I am from sorry, I'm a little shy. Okay, I am from Grandma Sherry, 9 siblings. Flavia, Brianna, Lexi, Giorgio, Jasper, Deja, Devin, Eric, Robert. I am from just all of our nicknames. Macaron and SOS, which stands for shit on the shingle. It's a food. And then my aunt, we called her Miss Trenchable for Matilda because she was a discipliner. And then a dream is for like all of us. We've had dreams like of buying back our childhood home. Like it was like a really large like mansion looking thing. And then yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Anyone like to share? Raise your little hand or unmute yourself. Or somos shy. Laura, somebody put Laura. Laura, are you up for the challenge today?
All right. All right.
Woo!
I am from green lawns, rolling bicycle wheels down suburban blocks, nopales in the backyard, and peeling concrete steps. I am from my drums. I am from my core family and my children. Home is camping in the summer, Vegas in the winter. Home is beans and rice and Zanku garlic sauce. I am from you can't pour from an empty cup and remember to breathe. And I am from all of my students' dreams.
Okay, you couldn't hear me. I love it. I love it. It's beautiful. It really is. I love hearing all of your home grounded stories. I do this exercise to remind us that our story in our testimonio is part of an extension of our purpose, right? Why we are in this world. None of us are here by accident, right? And where we come from, the stories, the food, the spiritual practices also guide our intention for our next moves. There's power in testimonio. There's power in us sharing our stories. It's not about what they say about us. It's about who we say we are in this world and to this world. And it's almost part of protest, right? When you see people who may be marginalized, who are coming up, who are brown bodies, brown, black bodies, right? Who may not have had a lot of money growing up, who may not feel powerful based on their gender identity, right? Why is it so powerful for people like us to say who we are in the world and to the world, right? It guides the quality, not just the quality of life, but also the strength of our communities. And that's something that I aspire to do as an artist. And some people are surprised that I was very, very shy growing up. And I couldn't even like be in front of a classroom, like doing a presentation. Like I would cry and I would shake. And a lot of that was based on me leading from this idea that whoever was watching me was deciding who I was, and that truth was the truth versus my truth being the truth, right? And that started to transform as I started building this beautiful relationship through dance and through movement with my body, right? And being compassionate and being grateful and understanding that is not just my mind, right? That's controlling my experience. It's my body, it's my spirit. And again, the need for harmony is very important. I wanted to show an example, right? And I think, Laura, you have the link. And so this example is a testimonial example. I wrote a song a long time ago called Mujer Soy. And so this was me gathering stories as a social worker and just as a mujer, you know, at East L.A. and in my home, very traditional household, and always having, to fight my way to like have a word in the conversation. And I'm still like a very like petite woman, so I often feel like I have to kick and fight my way into a conversation, right? Or to have my voice heard, or stuff like that. So this song in particular was in honor of mujeres and their stories, but also it was an invitation for the woman you'll see on here. Her name is Marianne. I asked her, can you share your story with the world on your own terms? And this is just, for her, it seemed like a very simple story and task. She didn't really understand the power behind it. But every time we show this video, people not only connect with it, but give it, again, this sense of power, this sense of protest, this sense that we are no longer going to disappear, right? And that Marianne was not basing her life on anyone else's truth, but her own truth, right? And so we're just gonna show the video. Hopefully it doesn't have too much delay on it. But I'd love for you all to kind of have this feeling of how this is parallel to your own truth and to your own way of claiming testimony or space with your stories.
Love
One
it.
snap up Marianne.
So cool.
I love that video. I find different things every time I watch it. And I see that some folks already have seen the video and love it, and I really appreciate that. Yes, Graciela. Thank you. The power of testimony, the power of interrupting a narrative that is told again and again about you, right? It is protest. It is also a sign of resilience, right? Resilience is not just how much trauma we can take, how much pain we can take, how much erasure we can take as a person and as a community, but it's also looking at testimonio, right, as this portal of infinite possibilities for us, right? And it's also understanding that we have our own toolboxes of self-assessed resources. Y'all decide what it is that helps care for your mind, for your body, and for your soul, right? Or your spirit, right? And again, I love this idea of en la que yo soy el otro tú, or like you are the other me, because again, we are just a reflection of each other and the possibilities for each other, right? When I asked Marianne, like, what is it that you want to share with the world? You know, she said she loved this experience because it helped her say who she was, not what people said about her, right? In a very simple way, right? She said, I became pregnant as a teenager. All I heard was how my life was over. But people didn't even know me, you know? She's like, nobody knew me like I knew me, and I've learned so much, right? And so as her daughter is now, I think she's like 12, but she was a, you know, very like little girl in that video. But looking at the joy, right? Like the simple joy of a child is such a possibility for all of us when we take away these layers of life, right? And again, this can be accessible to all of us depending on your ceremony, your ritual, your medicine, and how you access that, right? But we are the medicine that we've been waiting for, and we are the healers that we've been told to look for, right? And so I want to share that this is not just a powerful tool for yourself, but it's a powerful tool for your family, for following generations, and to heal, right? To heal a lot that a lot of us have inherited from our ancestors. Resilience also allows us to believe that joy is a birthright, that we don't have to prove that we deserve it, that we don't have to prove we deserve to have a dignified experience, that we don't have to work 12 hours a day just because we're at home and say, okay, now I'm worth it. Now I can have ice cream. Now I can feel a little sense of pride for myself, right? And that, you know, that fatigue y'all talk about, Anthony, you talk about all these Zooms, you know, is very real. Quarantine fatigue, right? Am I doing it right? Am I working enough? Am I doing all the arts and crafts I can do now, right? How do I show the world I'm still producing? Which equals I deserve to be on this world, you know, in this world. And that's something that I think we can all explore, right? What is the toolbox for our resilience, and how do we self-assess resources so that we don't say and claim space because we're doing more, but just because we are born and have the ability and have the birthright. And it looks different for everyone, right? Sometimes I go to what I call my social media madrinas and just look at all the memes about self-care, and that makes me feel good. I'm like, okay, I can have some tea and I can breathe and I think you know, I'm good. But again, it looks different for everyone, and we all have teachers everywhere, right? I'm finding so much from you all about myself. Like all the stuff that y'all are sharing, I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't think about it that way. Or, hey, like I totally connect, right? So memes are a valid example of resilient resources. Self-compassion, harvesting space, inviting you all to understand that you have the ability to have this realm of safety, right? Inviting folks into your circles. You can live with 10 people, right? And they're not always healthy for you. Some have a lot of toxic behaviors, ideals, ideologies, energy, right? But once you are able to have a stability and a sense of self and a sense of truth and a sense of core and power within your mind, body, and soul that actually helps you have, some protection. I always, people always ask me about this. I often perform with this. And it used to be just a very practical, I'm a very sweaty girl, so I'd be like, ooh, I'm sweaty, right? But it became something like as an amulet for me, right? Almost like a safety blanket. It reminded me of my father. It reminded me of all the work and sweat that my parents endured, for me to have options in my life. Not that I, and I've had to work through, I don't owe them a specific life because of their sacrifices, and having compassion with that story. That's again for another story. But this is an amulet for myself, right? Like, what are the things around you that can just be a little reminder, right? To stay grounded. I realized that in my home, I have a lot of altares, a lot of altars that help guide me, right? That help remind me not just of my elders and ancestors, but also just of the elements we talked about. Elements that are always here and accessible to you all, right? So just to share, wind, right? When we talked about wind in our earlier exercise, right? Also, Concha, wind, right? It's funny how I didn't even know until I kind of really looked around, like, what am I surrounding myself with? I didn't realize I had all this medicine until I really looked, water. So you can fill things with water, right? If you have some sage or this can be signifying for earth, for grounding. If you have you all have this somewhere. It's only $1. But like the veladora, like if you don't ask, you can stop asking your mom to prenderte la vela and just do it yourself, right? But again, what are the things accessible to you? I have some drums in the back, and that helps me feel like the rhythm is very soothing, right? What are things around you that you're surrounding yourself as your own medicine? Your story is part of your medicine and your power, but also there's amulets around you. How do you surround yourself in a space of resilience, in the space of magic, in the space of possibility, right? And intention. ¿Qué hora es? 1:15, great. Y'all aren't tired of me talking? Okay, good. Digan que no. Okay, so we're gonna do just one more exercise since we have some time. And we're gonna do some writing again, right? And again, y'all can share later, or if we don't have time, please take it as an invitation, as a seed to really cultivate these stories for yourselves, right? So what I call is, I call this the circle of life writing. Yeah.
I just wanted to mention, we also have a poll just to gauge who was at our meeting and how the experience was for them. So after you explain this writing exercise, I can put that up there too. People can answer it at their leisure. So yeah.
Fancy. Yeah, I was right before the millennial era, so all this tech stuff is new, right? Some of us, some of us.
We're the same age.
Oh yeah, por eso. I'm like, what? You can do what?
I'm not.
Okay, so I call this a circle of life activity. And looking at the cycles of our lives from birth or childhood, your youth, or as an adult or elder, right? We're not talking about death because y'all look alive. Cool. Okay. Birth, youth, and adulthood. Birth, talking about our younger childhood. So if y'all can have maybe 3 pieces of paper or 3 sections in your paper, or if you're thinking about it, just reflect on these different cycles in your life from when you're a very young child or just born, your youth, let's say middle school, beginning of high school, and then your adult life now, right? What's current. These are significant phases in our lives and also signify the 4 cycles of life. So in these different cycles, I would like for you to state what is a significant moment of that part of your life. Significant can be great, can be something that changed you, something that changed in the way that you were living, something maybe that even harmed you, right? Significant moments can mean so many things. So in your childhood, what was a significant moment for you? In your youth, as you were maybe adolescent or high school student, what was a significant life moment for you? And now in your current life, has there been a significant moment for you, something that you will always remember? So I'd like for you to tap into that memory, tap into the feeling. Retelling doesn't have to mean reliving, but you always have access to those memories. Sometimes we do block out things that hurt us, right? But if you have access to any bits of those stories, invite them in. What were you feeling in that moment? What emotions came with it? Is there people involved that you remember? Did they hurt you? Did they harm you? Did they help you? And also, what got you through it? If you can now identify a personal trait in yourself that came alive during each of those moments, acknowledge it. We are all here because we survived that. I invite you to have this practice ever so often. We attach meaning to our experiences. We attach fear also. We attach judgment to ourselves or the other people. But that can also be transformed. Right? If we were victimized as a child, that can also inform us of how strong or weak we are. Do we deserve it? Why me? That then informs us as adults, right? Who we trust, who we let in, right? How we protect ourselves. Do we go numb? But I want to invite you of the possibility of transforming the meaning you've attached to those experiences. You are here, that means you're also strong. That means you also have knowledge and wisdom. I like to think that doing this, revisiting these moments in our life and shifting the meanings to that we've attached to these moments also is how we can start assessing the building blocks to our ganas, right? To our will and to this feeling of si se puede, right? And again, these are things that y'all already lived and have inside of you. They can still be used to harm you or not, right? But you are the boss of that. I like this idea that we can always have a relationship with things that we can perceive to harm us, right? I learned that, and to be transparent, you know, I do have some depression and anxiety that I live with, and that has been more prevalent in certain points in my life. But I learned that in my anxiety, I can either reject anxiety and always fight, or I can understand that I have to live with my anxiety and have a relationship and understand when she shows up. There's more energy I take from trying to ignore and trying to fight off anxiety than being like, oh, you're here again. I don't want you here, but how can we live this moment in a way that doesn't harm me? Right? And this is what we can do with our memories, right? Cool. So we have time for a couple of folks to share if you feel you are up for the challenge. And I do feel like there's also a something very special that happens, right? When we challenge ourselves to be vulnerable, whether in a group of folks that know us or don't know us, whether it's a moment, I didn't really want to think about it, but I'm going to speak it, right? I'm going to say it, I'm going to name it. There's power in that because, again, you are the boss of that. And you can shift the meaning, right? Or you can stop hiding from it. So would anyone like to share? It's always a weird time where it's like, who's going to share, right?
I'll share.
You'll share, Laura. Thank you so much.
I don't even really have the birth, youth, adulthood thing because I don't know, I kind of was fixated on one. So for me, I think I was looking at my father's most recent arrest and being held in jail right now. And that happened right before COVID. And it pointed me back to the past about resiliency and me always being a caregiver even as a child. So that's why I said I didn't have it all delineated because it kind of all flows together. But I'm noticing with this particular impactful experience that I'm able to move forward in a good way and not put myself as a caretaker to everyone around me, and just like have the knowledge and the power of past trauma to kind of move forward. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I noticed that, you know, your body does have a reaction, right? And my body had a reaction to your body's reaction, right? There's empathy, right? That's one of the beautiful skills or attributes for human beings is empathy, right? And so thank you for sharing the energy and for being so sincere and for allowing yourself to go there. And that's, again, part of the way that we maintain love, cariño, and healing through these times, right? Tapping into what comes up, right? And having the love and compassion for yourself to let that happen. So thank you for sharing, right? This is how we keep the harmony in our system of body, mind, and spirit. Thank you. Anyone else like to share either part of the activity or how it maybe what it brought up for you?
I'll share. I kind of similar to Laura, like I feel like my childhood was really more like learning how to be an adult, like, you know what I mean? So like I put just like my experience or my memory was like my dad taking up so much space in the house, like his addiction, his arrests, his legal shit, his losing the job, him leaving the house and coming back as he pleased, like, and like what it did to my whole family, myself, my mom, my brother, and like kind of like just realizing like I don't have space in this home, you know what I mean? And then my middle or like youth was, my memory was like meeting music and skateboarding. and like how that like opened up a whole world of like just open-mindedness and acceptance and feeling like I had a community for the first time that wasn't taking up all my space and like that gave me space, you know? And then like my adult, like the most memorable or whatever meaningful thing was like, honestly, working at PCC, because it was like the first time I felt like I was like not a punk ass little kid, like piece of shit, you know, doing fucking stupid things in the streets and getting in trouble. Like I was like actually seen as like a mentor and a professional and like somebody who's capable of, you know, like sharing spaces with amazing people. So I don't know. And it, like how it made me feel, I think it's like Laura, it's like I'm always reminded of my resilience, and like that imposter syndrome is always there, like that feeling like I'm not good enough. And like yeah, it felt good to like just put it down. I didn't write. I know you said no screens, but like low key, there's no paper in my crib right now for this Corona stuff, so I'm using my phone notes in my phone.
Don't use your toilet paper on this.
Right?
Thanks so much for sharing. Anyone else?
I'd like to share.
Yeah.
So I think in my childhood, we spoke Spanish at home. And I think having this revelation that the neighbors didn't speak Spanish, that they spoke English, and then going to school and realizing that everybody spoke English, and that just being so weird to me that they didn't speak Spanish, and then kind of growing up with a sense of being different, and hearing all of those racial slurs out there, that I was so surprised, and just always feeling like inferior and the need to serve others, if you will. And I think it wasn't until, as Rohan said, that I attended PCC actually as a student straight out of high school, and that I was able to realize that there was people out there as well that were just like me, who also had these experiences and who also liked pan dulce and also ate mazapanes. And so it was amazing when I found these people and I started talking to them, and I didn't feel so alone anymore. And then after not only attending PCC, but then being hired as an employee and being able to work with students. And I think that's really what gave me strength, is a sense of community working at PCC, not only being a student, but then working there and actually seeing that we really are a community. I think the biggest moment that I had in my life that actually this all geared me towards was actually last summer, a year ago, in the spring, when I found out that I had been admitted to different UCs. And I was really surprised because I really didn't think I was going to get in anywhere at all. I'm going to start crying. And so just being able to like move forward in my life, even though I'm a single mother and I have 3 kids, with 2 with autism, like it doesn't matter. We just, you know, still keep moving forward. And I'm really grateful for this workshop now, because it's like much needed encouragement that we all need at this time. Thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, she made it. She made it,
Yeah.
everybody. And that's a beautiful thing. Like, you can be enthusiastic and we can all celebrate you. Thank you.
And she's a big fan of the Las Cafeteras.
Oh, really? Muchas gracias. Thank you. I too have imposter syndrome. It happens to all of us, right? It happens to all of us. Let's take a breath. We all deserve the joy. We all deserve the peace. We all deserve the feeling of belonging. So although we can't control what's happening in the world around us, we have access to medicine around us. We are the medicine. Your testimonio, your palabra, right? Your energy. Like, you all are so beautiful and encouraging, and this community is just uplifting like my day. Like, it's so beautiful. I might just enroll in PCC. You never know. Es que la cosa es que yo también lo necesitaba. Like, I also needed this, right? And as I like to think of this time as a cocooning, right? We're all going to come out a different butterfly than when we came into this era of our lives. We cannot control what's happening around us. We can control ourselves, right? And we can control the perception, not only of who we are in the world, but how we want to reemerge, right? How do we take advantage of this time and also have compassion for ourselves when we just can't? But we just need to sleep or watch Netflix or bake a lot of cookies or eat a lot of cookies, right? How do we have compassion for what our body genuinely just needs and wants? And then next day, you get up the next day and you start again. Just for today is oftentimes a mantra I will say to myself, right? And these are all these exercises and these reflections and all this stuff. It wasn't just because I'm a chismosa and I wanted to know about your life. It was just a way to guide you to go back. I mean, also, yes, because Isis is on here and she knows me, and yes, I am a chismosa. You know what? I'm just going to say chisme is, I've renamed it as community narrative sharing, right? You like that? Yeah. Okay.
Love it.
So yes, this is just going back, tapping back in to where you come from, the medicine you already carry, the resilience you already embody, and utilizing that to move forward, to reemerge, to build out the intention of when this era is over, this moment in history and in life is over, right? But also understanding you have the power to be able to build that out for yourself. Again, there are things we can't control. If you can control something, take a step. Make a change, try differently, be curious about the possibility. If you can't control it, the only thing you can control is the way you think about it, the way you perceive it, right? How you allow it to affect you, right? And so I want to leave this conversation with an invitation to really reflect on your intentionalities, right? Your intention moving forward, even throughout the day, right? It only is a guide. Right? It only is a guide. And this doesn't have to, it doesn't equate to a goal. Like one day I will do this, right? It's just the power of intention allows you to have a guide throughout your life, throughout your day, throughout a moment, right? Throughout a relationship. And so I'm going to share an intention for myself today is I am safe. An intention for myself today, I allow my body to release fear. I do that through dancing. Some people do it through stretching. Some people do it through running. Some people do it through sleeping, right? What is that for you? All I know is what I know. All there is now. Joy is my birthright. Okay, and I think that's the one, that's the intention I'm going to be guided by today. Joy is my birthright. And I love that we were able to hold this communal space and share. Y'all are beautiful and strong and not alone, right? It's a beautiful thing. So I invite you to reflect today on your intention of the day, of the moment, and as we move forward, to care for your mind, the way you're thinking, the thoughts you're inviting, the thoughts you're allowing to exit. I invite you to have hold intention for your body, right? Our body and our hearts are, we don't even think about it. Our heart is caring for us, right? How are you caring for your body today? Maybe take a nice little bath, right? I always say, I'm gonna wash the day away, right? Anything can be ritual, anything can be ceremony, depending on the intention. Your spirit, your soul, right? Tending to these things will allow harmony, will allow consistency, and will allow you to come out a stronger person, right? Life is not happening to us. Life is happening, right? And our truth, our palabra, our testimonio, right, is what allows us to walk through this life in a strong way and in a good way. And so I want to thank you all for having me. I think I went a little over, like 6 minutes over. So sorry if I went over anyone's time, but thank y'all. Y'all are so beautiful, and I love all the smiles. Me gusta. If there's anything anyone wants to share, I haven't even looked at the chat because I was trying to be like focused. Pero if y'all have anything to share with the group, anything that comes up for you, any intention that you want to share with anyone, or but again, you're invited to leave. I know that we're a little bit over.
Denise, while you check the chat, for our students and staff, Las Cafeteras actually came to PCC and performed in the quad a couple of years ago. So thank you, Denise. That was awesome. So much fun.
Thank you. I know, we want to go back.
Maybe it's time to bring it back.
Anymore. Our equity funds were cut.
Aw.
Homie deal. Just kidding.
Can I take pictures if y'all don't want? Like, look away. But I'm gonna take a selfie with you all.
Déjame peino.
Pénense. Pénense.
I think we get my CDs.
Got my CD.
Okay.
I know.
Yes. Okay, ready? Oh, selfie mode. Ready? Smile. Cute. Thank you all so much. Anyone else have any closing thoughts?
I just wanted to remind everyone, if you haven't been to our speaker series before, that the core staff is here. If there was any anything you need to talk about, any traumas that were reopened, any thoughts moving forward after this workshop that you need someone to hear or listen to, or a referral anywhere, we're here. Reach out to us. Our email is core@pasadena.edu, and that's not just for our students, that's for anyone that was here.
Yeah, thanks, Denise. This was much needed, and it kind of helps with the introspection and kind of with focus, and gives us tools and relationship to how to continue empowering ourselves and continuing to work on ourselves. A lot of the exercises you gave us today, I'm gonna try to incorporate on a more daily basis. So thank you so much for your word and your time and your energy and your spirit.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I just want you all to know that Isis is an amazing colleague and compañera in the struggle, and also a beautiful storyteller, poet, movement maker, and dancer. And so, I mean, I suggest that y'all hit her up, but again, like, everybody has so many skills, so much wisdom to share. It's an each one teach one life, y'all. Todos tenemos algo que enseñar, and we all for sure will be students of life forever. So thank you. Bye.
on one knee. I could be a Kermit, you could be Miss Piggy. You nobody's puppet, cause that stuff would be silly. I could be a soul man, get lost in that romance, show you how to slow dance if you give me one chance.
One chance, one chance. One chance, one chance.
All right.
Ooh, your every wish is my command. All you gotta do is wiggle your little head. But I'm not your puppet.